welcome to Labor Lens. I am Sharon Ijasan. On this week's episode of the program, we will be focusing on the issue of the implementation of the new national minimum wage. We will be right back. The Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria has suspended its 3-day-old strike. According to the president of the union, Comrade Adewale Adeyonju, it became imperative to call off the industrial action following the intervention of the permanent secretaries, Federal Ministries of Transportation, Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, and some notable stakeholders. It will be recalled during the week that the workers are not happy with the international oil companies. The President General of the Union, Adewale Adeyonju, directed that the seaports be shut down nationwide. The indefinite strike, according to Adeyonju, became imperative following refusal of international oil companies to pay dock workers for more than a year.
Evidence of payment is seen. Our members are what? Withdraw services in all the nation's seaports until all issues in contention are resolved. Because the IOC have taken Nigerian workers for granted. They can't do it in other countries. We are not weak. Nigerian government are not weak. The dock workers are not weak. Maritime workers of Nigeria were not weak. By close of today, 6 o'clock, all the dock workers, the seafarers, the Nigerian Port Authority workers, the shipping workers, all of you have to withdraw your service as from today. Thank you.
Other officials of other arms of the maritime sector, including dock workers, seafarers, and the Nigerian Port Authority, spoke during the declaration of the indefinite strike.
That up until knowing, no action has been taken by the government. This is an impunity on behalf of the government. Because we know the government officials, they take their salary as a wages. But we poor workers, we are only getting our salaries and wages.
No payment. All the operations in the port will be withdrawn. Thank you very much.
You call the federal government, you call this IOC to order. And the first one, tomorrow they will know that the maritime, when we pay them 1 month. We are one, and are going to stand solidly behind our people to make sure that the right of each and every one of us is given.
The Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria held its induction ceremony in Lagos, Nigeria. Leadership of the association at the event spoke about the need to enhance the status and practice of corporate governance and public administration. The association hopes that there will be a public sector code by 2020.
We are having the best among charter secretaries as at now, being conferred with the status of fellowship, and in addition to that, we have some new graduates also joining the scheme, those who passed the examination recently. And it's unique because this is 2019. We are having also change in government in 2019 at the Institute. And it's a celebration of success because we are expanding our membership base. And that is good for the Institute, it's good for the nation as a whole.
For all of us, we will actually understand that the Nigerian system, the Nigerian economy, needs a huge implementation of corporate governance for us to be able to come out of some of the challenges that we are facing. And you need professional institutes like ours who pride themselves as being in the forefront of corporate governance to be able to drive those issues, issue of transparency, issue of accountability, issue of good governance. And these are the things that we stand for, and these are the things that we're basically pushing. It's our vision that by the time some of these issues are implemented all over the environment, it becomes much more easier for us to find value for governance that we're talking about. And we just hope that as much of these things that we preach and the better for the nation and for the better for all of the citizens that are in that nation too.
The governors must be kidding. They cannot say they can't pay 30,000 in a country like Nigeria. The level of riches that we have, and the more that the governors waste. Nigerians deserve more than 30,000 naira minimum wage. And if any governor is saying they cannot pay, the workers should wake up and question how much does he get in a month? How much does he spend? The governor should pay minimum wage of 30,000 naira and more.
The governors are bound eventually to respond. But as you know, in Nigeria, without pressure, they don't perform. So it's happened time and again. Once something is approved like that, the workers will have to engage them. And eventually they will pay, but they never pay without some pressure. So it's just the culture here.
Let's not forget that before we got to this point, it took a couple of years before the government came to agree that the salaries of staff need to be improved on. We started from 18,000 and all that. Now we are on 30,000. It took a little bit of time for government to actually put everything together and ensure that people start getting paid their increased salaries, as it were. And don't also forget that salaries are graduated. The list now is 30. For those who are any higher than that, it also have to be graduated. So this seems to take a lot. Maybe a short while to actually come together, as it were.
It's very unfortunate. I think it's about the problems we have in the country, that people work and somebody is comfortable not to pay them. All that the governors need to do is to reprioritize what they are doing. We know that some governors have what they call security budgets running to billions of naira. We also know that there's some unquantifiable number of vehicles and aids they have. All they need to do is to reduce these numbers, reduce the money, reduce their aids and whatever that attach to the offices, and they will be able to pay the salaries. What they keep saying is that the money is not there for them to pay. Some claim they have low IGR and whatever. But whatever the situation, there is no state in this country that even their take away from the federal accounts cannot go a long way in meeting all their needs, if only they are able to reprioritize what they do in their states. I know very well that things are difficult, the economy is low, oil prices are not the way it used to be. But the truth of the matter is that if they're able to reduce the number of people they keep around them, hangers on, aides, PAs, and all the rest of them, and then be patriotic for once and seek the face of God, there's no way they cannot pay these minimum wages.
My own opinion concerning about the minimum wage is that if the president has already really approved this minimum wage, and the state governor or the state government indeed decided to take their time before they implement this, I think they should first of all look into each individual's life, because without being implementing this, first and foremost, we should realize that there are a lot of kidnapping going around the country. So number one, kidnapping and other criminality act characters will also influence the low or lack of compliance by the state government towards this minimum wage that they are yet to implement into the state government.
On the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the Secretary General of the Association of Senior Civil Servants, Comrade Basiru Lawal. It tells me that the Public Service Union are getting ready for a possible strike if the federal government does not yield to their demands. It's good to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam.
A lot has happened since our last conversation, and what many Nigerians want to know right now as I speak is about the implementation of the new national minimum wage. But for the senior workers, we are aware that negotiation has actually been ongoing as regards the consequential adjustment of salary. Can you tell us what is the update?
First, I want to explain that the comment you made that senior civil servants. No, this is a negotiation that affects all public service employees. And the negotiation is being driven by the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council, made up of 8 trade unions: Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria, the Nigerian Civil Service Union, the Stenographic and Allied Workers Union, the Amalgamated Union of Public Corporation and the Recreational Services Employees, the Medical and Health Workers Union, the Agric Union, the Printing Union, the Nurses and Midwives Union. So, and you know, once you have a minimum wage, that is the benchmark below which no employer employing from a particular base that is given by the law currently is 25. So once you employ 25 and above number of employees, you must implement the minimum wage. So having done that in the public sector, the government has to sit down with the Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council to negotiate how this thing will affect all the other layers of levels in the service, because when you say minimum wage, you want to assume that that is for grade level 1, step 1. Since ab initio, presently what we have for level 1, step 1 is 18,900, and then surely if you are putting it at 30,000, you have to adjust others. Otherwise, level 1 will be earning more than level 2, more than level 3, and so on and so on. So up to level 6, we have no problem. We made effort. They set up the committee to negotiate the consequential adjustment arising from the new national minimum wage of 30,000. The committee was inaugurated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and we started meeting. And normally, the plenary session cannot handle the detail in terms of computations. So the chairman of the committee, the head of service, now set up the technical committee to work out the detail, made up of 6 from the unions, 6 from the other side, plus the chairman of the committee. So we started work. We were doing very fine. Work out different scenarios. In the beginning, we were saying, since minimum wage moved from 18,000 to 30,000, that is 66.6%. So move all the other grade levels by that percentage, so that the salary differentials between each of the grade levels will be maintained. There will be no distortion in the salary circle. They shouted that the wage bill will be thrown out of the window. They will not be able to pay, to create this, to create that. We argued that. Later, we moved back. Mind you, we've agreed 1 to 6. It's just from 7 to 17. We now said, okay, we now worked another scenario. We said, give us level 7 to level 14, give us 40% salary raise. Then from 15 to 17, give us 30%. They work it out. They shouted again, it's too much. Don't forget one thing. Once it comes to labor, the wages, they want to keep it as low as possible so that there will be enough for the political class to share. Fine, but this time around we said, you must give us a fair share. Then after all said and done, we now said, okay, let's have 30% for level 7 to 14, then 25% for level 15 to 17. That's our position. They are saying no, their own position is that 7 to 14 will take 9.5%. Where do you go with that one? Then 15 to 17 will take 5%. Say why? Now they are now coming up with the issue of budgetary provision. Say budget is not cast in stone as far as we are concerned. And moreover, when you are imputing the figure into the budget, you never consulted anybody, you never consulted labor. So you put the figure that you like there. Now you are coming to negotiation. If you knew that was what you want to do, then maybe you will have issued a unilateral circular and so workers will know where the problem lies. But when you are talking of negotiation, you don't have an answer. You are now start working at what the questions will be to be able to get that answer. It's an aberration. It's never done. So at that stage, you say, okay, at the technical committee level, let's capture a report. The government side is saying 9.55 for those levels we will talk about. We are saying 30% for 7 to 14, 25% for 15 to 17. Capture that as our own position. Then capture your own position. Then let's go to the plenary. Then we start the job there. I said no. The term of reference given to us is that we should work in tandem what is in the budget. I said nobody gave us that term of reference. The term of reference given to us was to work out consequential adjustment based on economic realities. And when you talk of economic realities, as you are looking at the side of employer, you're also looking at the side of labor. You know fully well that the last increase at all came up in 2010. And because minimum wage came just some few months after, they added 900 naira. So nobody really bothered much. Say, okay, we had an... But this time around from 2011 to now, no dime has been added. And you remember fully well that we had this issue of petroleum price increase along the line that moved the price of petrol to 145 naira. And, you know, Labour went to the street. Before you know what is happening, they were placating us that, okay, government will do this, government will do that. Based on that, they set up the technical committee on palliative to cushion the effect of, you know. And we met at that committee level, did a lot of recommendations, fine, beautiful document. No single thing was implemented. So even if on the basis of that petroleum price increase, and you want to increase salaries to keep pace with how the prices of everything has skyrocketed, you cannot be talking of 9.5% or 5%. You cannot. Not to talk of, say, you didn't do anything that time, and a lot of other things have taken place within the national economy, particularly the devaluation of the naira, which is a free fall. We don't have control over it. They are the ones running the government. So what we are saying now, with all these variables that have been thrown over, but you can't keep wages down. So what we are saying is give us something fair. 30% is fair enough for 7 to 14. 25% is fair enough for 15 to 17. It will be a little bit fair. You know, even though it will have created some distortion in the structure, but at least we can still manage that for now. So at that stage, the plenary started around 2:30. The head of service came, and they said, oh, we should give them some time for them to discuss, which is a normal thing in negotiations. So before we came back, the head of service too was insisting that what she said was that we should work this in tandem with what is in the budget. We said, no, somebody has been recording us. Play the tape and let us hear, but which they refused to do. So at that stage, the chairman of the committee said, well, they are joining Sineda. He said, no problem. So as we are now, we have to start talking to our members. We've started mobilization. We are meeting on the 16th in Abuja. All the State Council of Joint National Public Service Negotiation will be meeting in Abuja. We'll brief them what has happened. They are the ones that sent us this assignment. So they will now tell us what to do next. That is the stage we are now.
Now that you've said that you are mobilizing workers or your members on the next line of action, I would like you to state clearly what was the agreement that the tripartite committee actually had and submitted to the president, which he also gave his accent to.
No, the tripartite committee, their own is just to work on the minimum. That is the minimum wage. That
yeah,
is
I'm trying to look at that argument that you had during the meeting with the other with the employer side or the government.
Okay, this consequential
yes,
adjustment.
Because,
No,
because saying that you should go in line with the budgetary allocation, is that what the tripartite committee actually recommended during negotiation?
No, the tripartite committee, that is not within their own purview. Okay. Their own is just to recommend the national minimum wage, which they have done.
Okay.
So the national minimum wage operates both in the public and private sector. As we speak, in the private sector, they are also doing a lot of negotiations as to how they are going to adjust salaries to be in tune with what the new national minimum wage is. In the public sector, this is what we are trying to do now.
Well, now that you've said that your members are already ready to take the next line of action, which is going on strike. Is there anything you think the government can do to ensure that probably this strike doesn't?
No, it's to resume negotiation and be open, and forget about this issue of saying you are going to work. Your work is going to be tied to what is provided for in the budget. We are not part of budget preparation. What informed the figure they put in the budget? You talk to workers first. You discuss, you negotiate. Whatever you agree there, now you put it in budget. So I want to believe that that figure was just imputed there, so that at the end of the day, whatever you agree on, if it is lower, if it is higher, there will always be supplementary budget. Budget is just an estimate. It's not cast in stone. That's the practice globally.
So what can be done? What is your message to the government?
Resume negotiation and be very open. And don't tie the hands of labor. Say you must not go beyond there. That's not negotiation. That is take it or leave it approach. It's never done. That's not collective bargaining.
There are lingering issues in some government parastatal. Some of it is the National Lottery Commission and also the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education. What is the union doing to address the issues? During the week, there were a series of protests. Is there any update as regards this?
As regards the welfare issues we have with Lottery Commission, we had a strike, and eventually the two sides came to the negotiation table, and we signed the agreement. And there's a particular knotty issue there that they are refusing to budge. It's the issue of one officer brought in. She came in on level 9 into the civil service, only for them to just catapult this woman to level 15. Within 1 year, they move her to level 16. Now they want to give her the position of director. That's why we cry foul. That the guideline for appointment, promotion, and discipline in the federal civil service is very clear on how you place somebody when you are bringing the person anew. So let us chart the certificate and record of this particular officer and place her properly. Her mates are still on level 10, level 12. Presently, she's on level 15, and if we have left them, by now she will be a full-fledged level 16 or 17. You understand? So that's the one that is kind of slowing down. As for the other issues they are implementing, and we are also monitoring, if there is any breach along the line, we will react appropriately.
The Executive Secretary of NHIS, Dr. Yusuf, has officially been removed by the presidency. What are the lessons for labor as regards the several issues that arose while he actually served the country?
Yes, yes. The removal of Professor Yusuf is long overdue. As we've been saying, it's a good riddance to bad rubbish. He didn't give leadership at all. He descended to a level that you start wondering which agenda he has come there to defend. It's quite unfortunate. I even had a one-on-one discussion with him, gave him advice on how to run the affairs of the NHIS, being an organization that the federal government depended very heavily on to ensure that the health provision to Nigeria is quite of the required standard when you compare to all the other parts of the world. The man is looking at the place as if it is a village. It's quite unfortunate.
So finally, going back to the issue of minimum wage, can you explain to us what is the well-being of the members of your union? Because I attended the TUC conference about a week ago, and I could see the agitation of members when it actually has to do with minimum wage.
Yeah, expectation on the part of public service employees is very, very high. You gauge the mood of workers during the May Day. See that they were very enthusiastic about the whole thing. In fact, to most workers, since minimum wage has risen by 66.6%, that percentage you should, in as much as we are trying to reason along with the government, you have to give them a fair bargain. Otherwise, some of these figures being brandished by the government side, it will throw up some spontaneous reaction which we are trying to avoid. So they have to manage this, the process very well. return back to the negotiation table and let us agree on what labor is talking about. It's not going to throw the budget overboard. It's a figure that can be managed very well. It is sustainable in terms of continued payments. And if that is done, workers will be very happy. At least for the past 8-9 years, they have not gotten anything as increase. Workers have been marginalized, they have been impoverished, they have been traumatized, they are having a very bad day. It's like they are not part of the society. You deregulate every other thing, you keep labor, the price of labor constant. It's never done. It's a very big distortion. And the earlier government does something, I think it's better for all of us.
It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
And that's all we can take on to this edition of the program. Join us next week as we continue the coverage on the International Labour Organization 108th session, which took place in Geneva, Switzerland. I am Sharon Ijasan. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.